Moving to Bend can be one of the best decisions you ever make. But if you don't make sure it checks all the boxes you need, it could be a huge waste of time and money. That's why in this video, we're going to answer the big questions I get from clients all the time. Questions like, is the lifestyle here really all that it's cracked up to be? And are the schools way out here in Central Oregon up to snuff for what I'm used to in Seattle, LA, San Francisco, any large city? And finally, is the healthcare system something I can really truly rely on for myself and my family? And the final thing is, what else do I need to know before moving here, before committing here and uprooting everything to make the move to Central Oregon? So make sure you stick around to the end of this video for the most important, often overlooked challenge of moving to Central Oregon. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Callahan. I'm a top realtor here in Bend, and I specialize in helping people like yourself make the move to Central Oregon each and every day. So if you're interested in moving, don't hesitate to reach out. I look forward to getting to know you. All right, let's get into it. So first up, we've got the lifestyle. Is it as great as everybody says it is? The short answer is yeah, it is. But you've got to like all four seasons. Helps if you like being active, enjoy the climate that the high desert offers, and really just know what you're getting into when you move to the high desert from a place like Southern California where you've got spring weather year-round. So here we've got 300 days of sun. I was talking to a gal today who moved from the coast, and she told me she's literally gone for a walk 540 consecutive days since she's been here, something she couldn't do having moved from the Oregon coast. And so she was raving about it. She was saying, even if it's snowing, I can still get out and walk because it's not this sideways torrential rain. So that's what's going on here. Yes, you have all four seasons, but people get out and enjoy it and absolutely love it. Okay, so one of the main things bringing people to Bend is the outdoor activities. There's a real strong sense of outdoors first identity where you can ski in the morning, head to a brewery at night, and most importantly, it's super easy to make friends because people who are active, I think, are just happier. I don't know, that's what I feel. I feel like the cities, people can be so crowded, kind of choked up in traffic all the time, but then you get out to a place like Bend where it's sunny and people are active and it's just really easy to make friends. That's what I found. Another activity that people love, skiing and snowboarding. I'm Mount Bachelor. You know, this is the best resort that we've got in Oregon. It's only 30 minutes away. Now, again, I want to preface, 30 minutes away, not on a powder day. So if you're expecting to get first chair on a powder day, don't be leaving your house 30 minutes before you need to get on that chair. You got to leave properly early so you avoid the crowds and get up there. Because really, in all reality, when it's crowded, you can expect a drive of an hour or, geez, if it's really bad, especially like on the holidays, you could even be 2 hours. So yes, the mountain's close, but traffic can be a beast. So be prepared for that. Okay. And then also we've got the hiking and the biking. We have hundreds of miles of trails inside and outside town, from casual river walks to world-class mountain biking. Phil's Trail Network is literally at your back door, and you've got access to it with depending on if you're on the west side or the east side, a 2-minute drive to a 15-minute drive. And then of course, we've got all the water sports that the Deschutes is famous for, like tubing and paddleboarding, kayaking, and you can even surf the wave at the Whitewater Park. And there's some great whitewater rafting upstream. So the river, and it's just swimming. The river is amazing. It's not too cold, and it's really a beautiful place to spend your evenings or days in the summer. And then if you're a golfer, we have incredible golf courses here. You could literally golf every single day of the week at a different course. So we've got Pronghorn, Tethero, Widgie Creek, River's Edge, Aubrey Glen, Lost Tracks, and Brasada Canyons, and there's even more. So if golfing is an important part of your lifestyle, there are some incredible housing options that can get you walking distance to your favorite course. You know, you can live on the course. But make sure to give me a call first because there's some nuances if you're looking for the golf living lifestyle, and I'd be happy to tell you all about it and really set you up with the right place for what you're looking for. Now let's talk about the food, drink, and social scene here in Bend. Right off the bat, you have a world-class craft brewery scene here. We have around 26 breweries and a culture of people that really appreciate the craft. So not only do you get the great beers, but you get the great beer nerds that comes along with it. So if you're into it and you like to brew, you can talk shop forever. And on top of that, we've got the music and the arts. So here in Bend, we've got this Bend Summer Festival, which is sweet. It's a free event that takes over downtown and is a celebration of the arts, the culture, and the community. And it's really just a sweet way, kind of like the farmer's market, for everyone to get out and appreciate what a special place we have here and the high quality of crafts and craftsmanship we have here in town. It's quite special. And for music, on any given night of the week, there's great music happening in a bunch of different local venues around town. And of course, I can't talk about music here in Bend without talking about my favorite venue, the Hayden Holmes Amphitheater. It's just my favorite. I mean, what's better than a general admission lawn ticket where you can get to picnic with your friends, the kids can run around free, and you get to enjoy these like incredible acts like Lainey Wilson, Dave Matthews, Jerry Seinfeld, Tyler Childers. The list goes on. But it's sweet because it's like you're not confined to your chair. You can have a picnic on the blanket and just have a good time. And the kids can run. That's the best. And again, another best part is that if you don't want to buy a ticket, you can hop on a paddleboard and watch the show with a bunch of your friends and other paddle enthusiasts right from the Deschutes River, literally floating on the river. It's sweet. And it's just such a great way to enjoy these beautiful summer evenings where it's still warm. You got great shows and the ambiance is great with the sunset over the Cascades. It's pretty cool. We're not just a sleepy mountain town, that we've grown a ton. And with that, we've gotten some incredible dining options. Some people come from all over, especially all over Central Oregon for the high quality dining. We've got farm to table restaurants, ranch to table restaurants, and a few of my favorites that I've mentioned before and some that I haven't are, you've got Ariana for a fine dining experience. And then if you're looking for some of those carbs, that delicious Italian, you can go to Bosa. And then the locals' favorite, if you haven't been already, make sure you check out Spork. They just do really good quality, healthy food. And if you like coffee, chances are when you come to visit, we're going to meet up at Lone Pine or Thump or Back Porch Coffee Roasters because there's so much good craft coffee. Again, just like golf, you could go to a new coffee shop every day and still be discovering new ones. And finally, let's talk about the baked goods. That's what it's all about. Oh man, I was just in New York and you get the croissants. It's so good. And second to the croissants is the ocean roll that Sparrow has to offer. If you like cardamom with your butter and flour confections, you got to check out Sparrow Bakery. Okay. So lifestyle's good. Croissants are good. Cardamom rolls are even better. Let's talk about the weather. If you're used to SoCal where you can wear flip-flops 365 days a year, that ain't here. You could wear it, but you'd be cold. We get 4 distinct seasons, and it gets down, negative 12 sometimes in the winter. It gets properly cold. The weather here is dry and cold in the winter. It changes quickly. Spring and fall, you can have beautiful sunny weather one second, and then snow flurries the next. Your fruit trees, your apple blossoms could be all blooming out, and then a freeze hits it and busts them up. So you got to be aware that spring and fall, you don't know what you're going to get. You got a short gardening season. Summer can be hot and dry, but it's never as bad as like you live in SoCal and you've got 60, 90 days of 100-degree heat. You don't have that here. When it hits 100, everybody's complaining and you know. So if the lifestyle's all right, you're okay to trade your flip-flops for some proper boots in the winter. You want to ski, all of that good stuff. Then let's talk about the next most important thing is, are the schools good enough to consider moving here while the kids are still in school? The short answer, yes. But here's the caveat. Probably not all of them are probably up to your standards. So it's really important where you move. It's really important you educate yourself about which school, what programs or options. There's a ton of great options and they run the whole gamut. So it's much deeper than we can cover in this video, and I'll totally be happy to be a resource for you. But for the sake of this video, I've included some of the top high schools just to give you a little flavor of what's going on here. So the schools in this area, they run the gamut from some of Oregon's finest to ones with math and reading proficiency levels in the teens, percentage-wise. So you want to make sure, again, you plant yourself in the right neighborhood. We've got the highest rated school in Bend, which is Summit High School on the west side. It was built in 2001, and Great Schools has rated this a 10 out of 10 with a 96% graduation rate and a 47% AP participation rate. So Summit High School is the top-rated school in Bend for high schools, so it's a good one to be aware of. Now, you got to live on the west side to get access to it, and that's kind of the deal. Across the river, you have Northeast Bend, which has Mountain View High School, and Great Schools has rated this a 7 out of 10, with an 85% graduation rate and 38% AP course participation rate. Now, also, Mountain View is known they have a great athletics program. Their football team actually won state in 2011, and the water polo team has won it in 2013, 2015, and 2016. So that's Mountain View. And finally in Bend, you have the Cascades Academy, which has glowing reviews and is available from pre-K all the way through high school. So it's a cool option as well. Tuition can get expensive. They ranged, depending on the age grade, but generally in that $20,000 to $28,000 per year range. So just know that that's an option. And if academics are a big priority for you and you're open to living in a smaller town, one of the neighboring towns, we've got two really highly rated schools in neighboring towns. First one is the Redmond Proficiency Academy. And the thing you always hear about this is how well prepared the kids are for life after high school. You hear it from community members, and it's just cool. It's cool to hear they kind of take an unconventional approach, and the kids seem to benefit from it. And the other school system to be aware of is the Sisters High School. And according to niche.com, Sisters High School has a pretty high proficiency in math and reading. And the town of Sisters, for having a population of only 3,000 people, has some of the highest rated schools around. So if you're looking for the small town vibe, kind of the walkable, bikeable schools, really safe environment, I'd definitely consider checking out Sisters, and I can tell you more about it. But they've got a great school system, or highly rated school system, and definitely worth checking out. And it's about a 30-minute commute to Bend. Now, with that said, if you are considering living in an outside town like Sisters or Redmond, you have to be aware of the traffic. So from Sisters to Bend, that Highway 20 is notoriously dangerous. It's a busy highway, it's 2 lanes, and if you're commuting from Sisters to Bend, you're looking into the sun each direction for the commute because Sisters is to the west and Bend is to the east. And wrapping up this bit on schools, if homeschooling is your thing, which has actually doubled here since COVID, there's a few resources that are a really good place to start if you're looking into homeschooling in Central Oregon. In Bend, you have Uplift Central Oregon, which describes itself as a homeschool resource for Central Oregon with offerings such as community days, resource classes, and even a teens program. That's pretty cool. You also have the Cascade Christian Co-op, which is a homeschool group dedicated to supporting homeschool families in Central Oregon through supplementary educational classes, social events, field trips, and in prayer. And finally, the other resource regarding homeschooling, you have Commonplace Sisters, which is a homeschool co-op, and among its programming offers weekly classes, extracurricular activities, and art, music, drama, and education. So there's the broad overview on schools. Again, I didn't touch nearly all the schools or even all the high schools in and around Bend, but a little taste of what it has to offer. And if you're flexible on which neighborhoods and school districts you want to live, you can pretty much get exactly what you're looking for. So that's cool. You just have to be aware of the different schools and the different neighborhoods that come with it. So now let's talk about the second most popular question I get. Luke, the lifestyle's a no-brainer. The school options are great for us. But the last thing we need to make sure of is, can we safely retire here and have confidence in the healthcare system as we age? Is this a place we can feel safe in, So let's talk about that. The short answer is a resounding yes. But as always, there's a few caveats that I want to make sure you're aware of that could be a deal breaker for you. So high level, St. Charles is the medical care provider here in town. They opened their first hospital actually in 1922 on Hospital Hill in downtown Bend. They've since moved the location, I think in the 70s. But the simplest way to understand it, they have the core competencies dialed in, and they get better and better every year. So core competencies, we're talking about stroke, cardiology, diabetes care, orthopedics, surgery. They've got that all down pat, and they really take pride in their quality with it. So let's say you have a heart attack. St. Charles Heart and Lung Center prides themselves on the time that they can get you from door to balloon. And I bet you haven't heard that metric before, but that's basically like the nice folks at Bend Fire. They bring you to their door, and it's how quickly someone like cardiothoracic surgeon Jennifer Dixon can come in, you can come in and get your blood flowing properly at the Heart and Lung Center. So they pride themselves on that door to balloon metric, which is nice to know. So how about cancer treatment in Bend? Well, we have the St. Charles Cancer Center, where everything oncology related is conducted under one roof. And while I've had the good fortune of not being one of their patients, I've heard favorable reviews with their service, and there's some challenges in, again, management or customer service experience. So the quality of the care has always been good from what I've heard. Okay, so that covers Bend and specifically St. Charles, how they offer care and what the quality of care is. But let's talk about, the shortcomings, what they don't offer that you might be looking for. I would say if you or a family member needs specific specialized care, do the research and see if St. Charles has it to offer. So if not, most likely you'd be looking at OHSU in Portland, which is really like our best medical facilities in Oregon. And it's about a 3.25 hour drive over a mountain pass to get there. So if you need specialty treatment on a regular basis and it's only an OHSU and you need to take frequent trips there, make sure you factor in not only the 3.25 hour drive, but what it looks to make that drive in the winter when there's possibly snow on the passes. You got to factor that in. If you don't need specialized care and frequent trips to OHSU in Portland, I think St. Charles will more than suffice for your care as you age in Bend. But as always, I like to really make sure that you do the research to figure out what kind of treatments you might need, what the shortcomings are. We've got the core competencies down, but if you need that specialized research care, give me a call if you have any questions. I'm happy to dig into it because I love researching this on your behalf just to help you understand what's a good fit. And again, it helps me understand it in a better way. Okay, so let's look at the boxes. The lifestyle is looking good and the schools are feeling like they're going to work. And it feels like, the medical care here is exactly what you're looking for. Then let's talk about the most important thing that most new people to Bend often miss. And I always make sure to harp on so that they don't sign up for something they're not prepared for. And that is, of course, you know what. What is it? Come on, what's your guess? Pause it. Let me know in the comments. Wildfire. That's right. Wildfire, smoke, and the big bad dragon of insurance. So let's talk about it. Wildfires are a thing. It's unknown how big the fire season will be each year, but the one thing you know is it's going to be something. You just don't know what it's going to be. So what do we need to consider regarding fire? A few things. If we're looking at acreage property, we need to consider defensible space and that fire can sweep through. So what's defensible space? It's like a moat around the property where you don't have vegetation that can burn. Also, a good sprinkler system on your roof that can be turned on with the push of a button. So when you do have to evacuate, if you ever do, you can set it on and it can come on at a regular basis and just keep water coming down your roof. I've had to do that and there's more and more options for that coming. So I know I harp on fire a lot, but it's a real thing. And to illustrate it, just this year we had the flat fire, which came roaring up within a few days. And it swelled over 20,000 acres just north of Sisters, resulted in about 10,000 people having to be on some level of evacuation notice. And it even flushed out one of our local celebrities, Rainn Wilson, aka Dwight Schrute, and his family from their local, their getaway cabin up north of Sisters. So if you're thinking about buying acreage, make sure you're aware of the risks that come with it. Another factor with the fires that you got to be aware of, if you're living in the city, there's lower chances of a fire burning your house down, but you're still likely to be impacted by the smoke. And that's a big deal. So let's talk about the smoke. Personally, I'll set this aside, just whatever. Doesn't bother me too much. Like when I go outside, I wear a buff over my face and it doesn't really bother me. But I'm also a brute, so take that with a grain of salt. I like to be much more on the conservative side, like with you, my clients. I want to make sure that you can handle it really well. I know a lot of people, it affects a lot to the point where they don't want to go outside when it's smoky, depending on, how bad it is, of course. I can help point you to basically some resources, some contractors who can get that set up so that when the smoke happens, it's inevitability. It might not be every year, but when it does happen, you can kind of have your safe zone. You can turn on and you're breathing good, clean air as long as the smoke is there. And that's the biggest thing, because just like bad weather, as long as you're prepared for it, you can handle it. If you're not prepared for it, it can really bum you out. So just be mindful of that. And again, if you have significant respiratory issues and you think it might be a concern, I know this sounds unconventional, but if you're strongly considering Bend, I would actually really encourage you to find a time when it is smoky here and come up and experience that so that you could truly know what that experience would be like. Because, you could see this and say, oh, the smoke's no problem, but then you come and live it and you're like, oh, it is. Or you could be like me and be like, it's fine. So it runs the gamut. Make sure we just err on the conservative side and keep you safe and healthy and feeling good about it all. There's still one more point related to fire and that I want to talk about, and that is the insurance. Now, insurance is a big deal because just recently we had this whole debacle that's thankfully been resolved, but where a lot of houses literally couldn't get insurance because the risk of fire. Fire insurance premium it can totally change your monthly budget or even just make your house downright unaffordable. So to that, I always say, make sure we get a quote on fire insurance before we go any further on even purchasing a house, just so that you're fully protected. So be super mindful of that, factor it into your budget, and then you're well protected. Okay, so if I haven't completely scared you off with all that fire talk, it's important, we have to do it, and you're still keen to move here, which this place is amazing, I love it. Here's the next steps. Give me a call or download the relocation guide using the QR code above or clicking the link in the description below. And here's how our process, if you want to work together, works. Basically, regardless if you want to work with me or anybody else, here's how we do it. You come out here, you get a lay of the land, real intentions, see some houses, see the neighborhoods, and really get a feel. Walk to the local coffee shop, do one of your daily routines of like where driving to work would be, and if you're working from home, maybe drive into the co-working space, whatever it is. Look at what it would look like to drive to soccer practice. Look at what it looks like to get to the pickleball court at peak hours. Experience it. Look at the inventory in different neighborhoods, not even with the intention of buying, but just so you can see and feel each neighborhood. And then if you go home, for a week or a month or a year, then it all percolates. So you get a sense of it. And then when it's go time, then we got a good sense of what you're looking for. If the market's hot, luckily now it's like the buyer's market. So it's the perfect time to just chill, take your time and slow down, because houses are usually on the market for 30 to even 90 days if you're like an old Ben. So you got time on your side as a buyer. And then after, some time on the second trip, or exactly what you want, then you call me up. I can go do a video tour for you. I can do a video tour of the neighborhood, and then you can really get a sense, and then we can wave that magic wand and make your perfect place happen before anybody else gets their hands on it. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know what your favorite part of the video is in the comments below. And as always, my name is Luke Callahan. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.